would pay him $1,000 a month to do the regulatory paperwork, because he's the one with the license. So doing the lab, getting it all entered in the system, doing the reporting. And then for now, I would pay him another $1,000 a month for day-to-day coming in and doing the testing and actually doing the day-to-day stuff. It actually only needs to be 1 day a week. But later down the road, Sam's going to get his license. Sam will take over the day-to-day operations because Sam's here every day. Okay? But for now, I need Sam moving water lines, moving sewer lines. I need Sam out there working on the roads. Last thing I need for him to do is to go to school for 3 days and then go off and...
Enjoyed it so much. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, God, that was horrible.
Just the service Rocky Points and all that stuff.
Yeah, so basically, what he'll do is, because he's the guy with the license, he'll be our operator. So that means instead of spending $45,000 to Patterson, we're going to spend $2,000 a month. So I think
24 versus 45. Right?
Yeah.
Good.
So I think that's pretty good. We are going to have a little bit extra cost because starting in December, Sam's going to have to read the meters. Right? We're losing our meter readers. So I told Sam I want him to handle that because he'll figure that out.
Yeah.
He used to read meters before. Sam and Izzy read meters in the old days. So we'll just have them handle it. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen is this. Under the Financial Controls Ordinance, I'm allowed to hire anyone for temporary work. I can hire a temporary employee, I think 3 months or something, without council approval. So I don't need you to do anything now, but I'm going to come back to you in a couple months, say like everything's working good, we're good, so let's make it official. And anyway, I think that's a good solution for us, is bringing it in-house. In the long run, Brent will basically be the licensed guy. He can sit up in Gainesville and, log in and type in the average numbers or whatever and handle that. And then Sam's the guy that can be here on a day-to-day basis and write down check the chlorine in the water and clean the clarifier down at the sewer plant and, wipe the stuff down. That's our long-range goal. And we can do it for half of what we were going to spend.
And we can get it done right.
And the nice thing is that, our guys are invested in it, right? Sam wants it right. So that's what's going on with the water and the wastewater operators. So we'll...
So you don't need anything from us tonight?
Not tonight. I mean, I just want to alert you to the fact that instead of, if we outsource it like we're doing with Patterson, then we're paying a company that has their overhead, that has, all of their insurance, all of their stuff, right? Whereas one of our competitive advantages is if we do it in-house, our TML insurance is already paying liability and all this kind of stuff. For us, literally what it'll cost us is the 6% Social Security that we're going to match now, because he's going to have withholding. But he's agreed to, in the long run, $1,000 a month. And I think $45,000 to that is pretty good.
Pretty good savings.
Okay, so I got to handle it. Okay. Next up is discussion of the Rocky Point water system last resort. I asked Linda to be here tonight specifically to kind of go over that stuff. So everybody knows last resorts, we've been integrating it in. We now have done the hard connect into the system, and it's running perfectly. The citizens over there are ecstatic. It's very happy. We have the schematics of the whole system that they gave us. It's laid out very nicely.
Those are accurate.
But it's actually totally inaccurate. It's not actually what's there.
Nice to have, but it ain't
The map
right.
looks great. The map looks logical. The map looks like those mains are in all the right places until we went over there looking for it. backyard, and we found that, yeah, the 2-inch main that services each street is actually an irrigation line that's an inch. So we can't, we're not finished yet, let's put it that way. We're in, but because of the small line, we're having to keep the pressure tank, we're having to double up on the pressure tanks. I think down the road, Linda, what we're going to end up doing is what I'll bring to you guys down the road. Once, maybe in a year, once Last Resorts is running well, is we have a 6-inch main out on Garza. Right now, it's stubbed out to Garza for a fire hydrant. Okay. What we'll probably do is run that down to Sheriff. Because that's the whole Last Resorts. Run the 6-inch down to Sheriff, and then we can feed that line on the backside of Sheriff, and that way we're feeding it from 2 directions. Okay. Then we can feed the 1-inch line, and we can get rid of their pressure tank. Right now, we can't jam that much water through a 1-inch line for 30 houses, right? I have an 1.5-inch line on my one house. We have 31 houses over there trying to use a 1-inch. It can't be done. So right now, it's being done because we have another pressure tank sitting over there. But that's got to go away. So that's probably later down the road. I have the customer list now. I have all the addresses. We're going to have Sam go over and talk to Bonnie. Everybody lend to Bonnie. And read the meter. We're going to figure out where the meters are. Make sure we can get that squared away. The goal would be to send a joint letter to them soon and try and get the meters read mid-December. First meter reading, first bill January. So we'll let it coast until 2021. That'll be the first bill. It's funny, I've had a few calls from people that are asking, oh my gosh, you haven't gotten a bill yet. Are you going to turn me off? I said, no, there's no bill. We didn't send you a bill.
They very
and, they just said, do we have to pay a connect fee? Do we have to pay it? I said, no, there's no connect fee. Really? We'll pay. I said, that's okay. You don't have to pay a connect fee. You're already connected. It's fine. We'll send you a letter, but just relax. It's all good. So one woman who I thought was great, she told me that she's always had 2 5-gallon jugs of water because the water would go out. So she had 2 5-gallon containers of water she always kept. And the water's been so great since we took over the last month that she was telling me she was going to get rid of one of them. Not started there yet. She's going to get rid of one, but she's going to keep the other one. I said, okay, fair enough.
Baby step.
I think we'll get you there. We'll get you there. But I thought that was great. Yeah.
So can we use their meters to...
We're not going to replace them right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to just start them over from scratch, or whatever the meter is.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to, for now. And then,
eventually we'll do the electronic.
yeah, that's on the agenda too. I'll talk about that too. But yeah, exactly. That's our long range goal.
When we went over there, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to use their meters or not.
Yeah, I think for now until we figure out the remote reads.
Okay.
And the layout looks right, that the meters are where they should be. I mean, the mains are good. They're just not 2-inch mains. They're inch main. They're an inch main, sure. It's not a main, it's a minor, I don't know what the opposite of main is, but it's a anti-main. But it's looking good. And at some point down the road, I'm working on the STM application to do the transfer, the legal transfer. Working on that. But, that happens when it happens. In the meantime, we'll be operating it as if we owned it anyway. But the interconnect is in. The plumbing is in. So what we did, I have pictures. I didn't broadcast them, but I'll show them. So we have steel manifolds we installed to run to Last Resorts. So the PVC, the flex hose, we had a flex hose was the emergency interconnect. The permanent interconnect is in. It's steel manifold, steel pipe going out of the building, steel going underground. And we have a meter on it. So now we're metering the water that heads toward last resorts. And the idea is that the first couple bills we'll be able to meter how much are we sending out that way and how much are we billing. So the first couple months, we'll be able to find out if there's some interconnections out there that we don't know about. So this way we'll be able to find out who's connected and doesn't have a meter. Okay, so that's what we're doing now.
Or if we have leaks, do we know for sure that everything's...
Well, I mean, it's the best we can do right now. Because one of the things about the permitting for us to own it down the road is we have to prove to TCEQ, it sounds nutty, we have to prove to them that we can service that area. So one way we prove that is to say, yes, our well only puts out, 50,000 gallons a day, but according to this meter, they're only using 6,000 gallons a day. So whatever your rules are, our well is good enough, and that's all it needs to be.
The groundwater tax, we have to count for the water too.
And it would help for that. Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to know. It'd be nice to know where the water's going. And we have one set up for Rocky Point 2. The meter's there. I just didn't have Sam install it yet. Just hold off on that. I need Sam to get back over here and move water lines and stuff. But there's nothing holding us back from that system now. The only other thing is Linda, Summer's working on muni billing, right, with the administrative back office.
Setting up a database with the last resort customer information that's going to be uploaded into muni billing, and we'll just bill them along with Rocky Point, and we'll leave the rates the same.
So they're going to be a part of the Rocky Point muni billing, but they have their own rates, different from Rocky Point. Because we're not allowed to change the rates because we don't own it. It's one of their rules. So until they actually bang the gavel, administrative law judge in Austin in about a year, and says it's official, humana, you own it, we have to maintain the same rate structure. And it's an interesting, Rocky Point is $37 and $8 per thousand. Last Resorts is $57 is the base rate, and $4 per thousand. So we're going to probably end up in the middle. Ultimately, we have to have one rate for everybody. It's the same well, right? So we'll have splitting the baby in half, is my guess. We'll have somewhere in the middle. And, so for the Last Resorts people, for the low users, their bill is going to go down. And then, a fair amount, probably 25%. It could go down to 40 instead of 50. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge down the road. But it's all teed up and ready to go. And like I said, the launch date we're trying to get to is mid-December, first meter reading. So I'll bounce that back, Linda. I've started composing a letter.
Okay.
I think it'd be good if it came from me and you.
Okay, no.
And we'll get that going. And then we'll have Eric. You can go door to door. Is that what you did before?
Well, me method.
Oh, there you go. Yes, you got.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
All the extravaganza.
All right. Next up, discussion on remote read water meters. Okay. So Daryl has been working on this quite a bit. I stepped in and ran over Daryl a little bit.
My work is out of the picture.
But go on. So here's the issue. Okay, so with remote reads, there's different brands of remote reads. What we want, the system I like the best is Master Meter. They're like the largest meter guys in North America. They are, one of their big branches is right here in Texas, so they're local. Little Elm has Master Meter. McKinney has Master Meter. So the big boys are using Master Meter. Same system as we would use. And what that is that is an RF system, which means in the actual meter box with the dial and everything, wrapped around metal, that's the antenna. So it sits inside the box, and you just use a regular plastic lid. It doesn't need to have any antennas, nothing sticking out. You don't need the transparent hockey puck insert on the top of the box. So that's the advantage. The advantage is with the people out here that like to mow with their big mowers and run over the lids all the time, that it won't hurt it. The other thing is it doesn't require a cell signal. You're not using a cell tower, so we're not paying 89 cents a month per one because it's using a cell plan. So that's why we're going to use that one. And what happens is we sit here in the office, press a button, and that's it. It downloads it right to Muni Billing. So you're not going and tapping anything. You're not driving by in a truck. You're sitting here in the office. It's all done remotely, and it's all done via RF to a tower and then on to us.
Get any more information on that integration to Muni Billing?
Not yet. It's kind of a dumb interface right now.
I talked to Muni Billing, and they said they can interface with any of the major providers out there.
Yeah, we were just talking about whether it was like a file creation and import, or if it was a direct interface, that sort of thing.
Yeah, is it download, upload, right? Or is it direct, right? My guess is it's a dumb, it's the old-fashioned way. You download, export, import, right? I don't care. We'll figure that out. But one of the advantages of, they showed me, I had a demo of the software. What's kind of neat is that anybody at home can log in. You can log in and see your own meter. You can set smart alerts. You can you can't turn it on and off because there's no physical actuators in the meter that you get access to. But you can, tell it I'm going on vacation. So if more than 10 gallons a day goes through the thing, text me. Because I'm not here. You can have it text you when you go over 20,000 gallons a month. Maybe you set any alert you want in the whole system. You can do whatever you want. We have the same capabilities back here. So we actually are seeing every meter in the city. So we can set it so what it does, it's got weird settings for leaks. Because the meters are special meters, they read to tenths of a gallon. If we want to. We can build a tenth of a gallon. We're not going to do that. We build 100. But the meters literally read, they have a super low flow. And what they do is, if within some 24-hour period, if it doesn't have one hourly reading that's a zero, it flashes a leak alert. Because it will telemetry the meter every hour back to us. It does it automatically. So what it'll do is it'll tell us if it did 24 readings on your house, Eric, and never it was zero. The flow was never zero. And it interprets that to mean you got something going on. And we can set that to be as sensitive as you want. We can turn it off. I joked with him and said, why do I care if Eric's leaking? I don't care.
I do.
It's his meter. I said, is it leaking in front of the meter?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's talking about leaking through his meter. Well, I'm okay with that. So, now, later down the road, if we wanted to, what some cities do is they put a big remote read meter on the outflow of their water system, on the distribution line as it leaves the building. And then what they do is they do real-time comparisons to the big meter and all the little meters. So they're actually looking as a way to detect line leaks, right? Yeah. Main breaks, stuff like that. That, if the flow out of the big meter is radically different than all the other, which is a little beyond us now, but it's scalable. So I thought, okay, it's good to know. But for us, it's also important because Rocky Point, you don't want to go read the meters in Rocky Point right now. They're in the backyard. They're behind fences. They're under the shed. They're next to the guys, blown out Winnebago. They're
behind his pit bull.
They're all over the place over there. So we're headed that way for there. The nice thing about the implementation, so the shores is where we go with the first round of remote reads, because most of those meters are already several million gallons. They're old, and they need to be replaced. It's their cycle to be replaced. Later on, when we get to this side of town, the nice thing is that if over here, for instance, we replaced those meters in 2013, maybe, right before the roads went in, I think. But let's say we go to Linda's house, and Linda's meter reads, she's put a whole 150,000 gallons through it, in the last 6 years, right? Well, it's stupid to replace that meter. That meter's warranted for 2 million gallons. Well, what you can do is you just screw a new thing on the top. It's a $40 transmitter. You just screw that on the top and push the button and starts at zero. The meter, the brass meter is fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's what costs the money. The meter itself, the brass meter, which is lead-free, if we replace a meter, it's the new EPA standards, lead-free, really expensive. So over here, it's going to be much nicer. We can easily upgrade these relatively quickly, very inexpensively.
So lead-free meters is a new thing?
Well, they changed the standard. It was like, let's say, I'm making it up. Let's say before they could have 0.1% lead in the brass. Now it's like 0.0001. They changed the definition of lead-free. But what they did was they said, you don't have to remove anything. When you replace it, you've got to replace it with lead-free. So that's why for us, our meter cost dramatically increased. And so did some of the pipe, like the steel manifolds and stuff that Sam's using. Now they got to be certified. Everything went expensive. Did you put that on high? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let's get into a couple of the cost things. So, here are the issues with remote read. Number one, we need a tower.
What?
We need a tower. Because it broadcasts to a tower. So the initial tower that they wanted to put up was 60 feet. You cannot put it on the water towers. They're only 35 feet. So if you had a 60-foot tower with a little, and the tower it's on a pedestal like 4x4. It's not like a cell tower. It looks like if you were going to put up a ham radio thing in your own yard, it's like a 4x4 little pedestal, right? But if it goes like 60 feet tall, that'll broadcast a mile and a half, which means we pretty much want to get all the way over to Rocky Point and here, no problem. That's what it's rated for. It'll go further than that. So that's one issue. Okay. Once you have the tower, you can put repeaters. Repeaters are, as you'd expect, they just are like boosting the pickup. Those actually screw into the light poles. What you do is like the CoServe, they have a little thing on the top of the CoServe pole, the light sensor. Turn them on, the dimmer basically, or whatever it's called. They make these things, Master Meter does, you unscrew that, and this screws in, and it still does the dimming. It just now there's a repeater around the little dimmer. So, or you could just put on, the cell tower, or, you can put them anywhere. They only need to be like 30 feet tall. You don't know it, but if you drive down El Dorado, there's several of little elms put in. They're just like hanging, you see this little antenna thing hanging off of, like a light pole. It's like, what's that? That's their repeaters. We probably wouldn't need any. So
Our location is not where we have to put
So now, where do we put it, right? Okay. Well, I don't want to put it here. I don't want a tower here. I know Clint likes towers, and how much Clint likes that kind of stuff.
As long as we put a sign next to it. Tower.
So one possibility. One possibility is we have to own some land over in Rocky Point. One possibility would be to stick it over in Rocky Point. We've got a big quarter-acre lot sitting there that's right there, so we could put it there.
On Tom's house.
So, hey. So,
Up there.
wait a minute. But I'm too far. I'm in the back corner. That wouldn't be a good thing.
keep the bunks out of the lake.
So one of the options I've thought about would be to try and maybe approach Denton County. Because there's 6 parcels of land when you first come over the toll bridge that are left over from the toll bridge. They end up owning little fractions of little lots as you come over the bridge. They're all overgrown and a lot of brush on them and crap. Well, maybe we can go to Denton County next year and say, hey, would you let us, acquire this little 0.03 acre, piece of nothing or whatever. Anyway, so we have several options. We could go across the street and talk to Aqua Texas. They have also a piece of land sitting over there that their little towers on and say, look, we'll let you use the tower if you want later down the road, but let's put the tower next to your well. A lot of choices. So what's the cost? Well, it ain't cheap. So the cost of the tower plus the integration plus the first year's startup costs is about $80,000. After that, the cost is about $3,000 is the annual cost for it's a $3,000 annual cost for 2,500 connections. If you have less than 2,500, then it's $3,000. So they quoted me. It's $1.37 per meter, up to 2,500, or $3,000. So it's $3,000.
What do we eat today? What's our cost per meter today?
For
meters today, nothing, right?
we just pay a meter reader and stuff, and
But we have to upgrade the meters,
we
right?
have to change the meters anyway. That's the issue. We got to change the meters.
So that's pricey too, right? We looked at that.
So the cost of a meter, so 1-inch remote read from master meter is $350. So we would be if you include installation and probably a plastic meter box, probably $500 per house, which is not bad. I mean, there's about 80 houses in the shore, so you're looking at $40,000. We spend $150,000 a year on CapEx for the water and sewer. That's no problem. Financially, it's not a problem. Now, there's some other options that I'm looking at. So, for instance, the water system where the new school is back there, that's Terra Southwest. It owns all that back there. That guy is looking to go to remote read as well. So, in talking to the people, you can use as many as you want in the software. In other words, we could have, let's say, Lake Dallas, and they could get to our tower. They could use it. There would be route number 7, would be all their stuff. So they would log in and just download route 7.
You can share.
We can share. Exactly. Sharing is allowed. It's just, they would have theirs. So in theory, we could go to Little Elm and say, look, will you let us go into your system? And then we would be route number 27. In their system, we would just log in, and then we would press a button to download route 27, and then we'd upload it into Unidog. If we did that, the cost of us to use their towers would be like $3,000. Or whatever, if they told us it's $1.85 a meter, it would be, $500 a year. So that's an option. The problem with that option is at a moment's notice, we don't control our own destiny. So I prefer the alternative where we build it, we own it, it's our tower, and you can put cell stuff off of it. You can use it as cell. Okay? Some cities do that. Even though it's for the remote read, they put...
What do you mean use it as cell? Like
they let cell companies rent it. They let them rent
it to the cell company.
Yeah, they get more revenue. They get some revenue from doing that as well. If we decided down the road we were going to put a wireless internet for the city, have our own wireless internet, we could use our tower to broadcast wireless internet for Lakewood Village if we wanted to have our own citywide internet, for example. But the guys at Master Meter and said, look, it's $50,000 for the tower. The tower plus all the equipment. I mean, it's not the tower. It's the whole electronic everything, right? But I said, look, maybe we could spread that out, right? 50's a lot up front. Why don't you make it, 10,000 for 5 years or 5,000 for 10 years? Why don't you spread that out? And he told me that, yeah, they could do that. They're working on it. I said, no, I think that. Okay, so that's still to be done. So another tricky part is that clearly, if we're going to do the shores, and the software is like $10,000 to get integrated in everything and training and all that, but we're going to be over the $50,000. If it's more than $50,000, we have to send it out to bid, unless it's life, health, safety, like water lines, fire hydrants, stuff you don't do. That's why the road project had to be sent out to bid. Obviously, it's right.
So what happens if you have to send it out for bid? But do they, like, if we say, okay, Master Meter, you bid on it, and then we allow other bids, but their technologies are different. So we don't want those other technologies, like the cell phone integration and all that.
Right. So apparently there is a way, because I said, well, how does Little Elm and how do they get you guys? So what it is here's my understanding. You write the specs. Like what we want is an RF system that's fully contained below the lid. No antennas, nothing to maintain, nothing to hit, nothing to have to repair. Totally self-contained. And there's only one manufacturer that does that. That's Master Meter. They're the only one. It's patented technology. So they sent me a copy of what's called a sole source letter. So my understanding, if we were to adopt, here are standards that we want, then you can do it with, let's say, Master Meter, provided that they tell you, we are the only one that can do it. We have patented technology. We're the only one that can do what you want to do. And that's what the other cities do. And they sent me that source letter. I have it, because I want to see what one looks like. So, obviously, that would go through Andy to make sure we know what we're doing, but that's... What I want it to be ease for us, and I don't want anything that requires maintenance. The last thing I want is to have to go out there and say, crap, 10 of them aren't reading. Why is that? Well, Eric mowed the antenna off the thing. Some other guy, decided to... Eric.